Welcome, DEK. Behind the scenes in the making of our podcast. I got my co-host Mike over here in the back seat. He don't want to be seen. So this is 4 records for our archive. If I said that right, you know what I mean? And we're just going over the script that I'm gonna do my bio, and we're just practicing right now. You know, he's sitting there trying to be Professor Griff and always trying to change somebody's words, you know what I mean? Instead of just letting the kid just flow like I need to flow.
Yeah, you want to flow like that, then buy you a dragon. You can just talk right into that motherfucker.
Yeah, he got jokes. He said, buy a dragon. What kind of shit is that from a director?
It's a verbal working point that writers use. Instead of going to pen and paper, they could just narrate it from their voice, and it types that I told you about 9 months ago. No. Since we want to be common.
It's called a teleprompt.
No, it's called a dragon.
A
dragon. You say teleprompt, it's called a dragon. You can look it up.
I need to go on a diet. We shall be going to the gym this week because this is gonna come down and get ready. But this is
my cousin was unalive by police in a drug raid. But this is something that you.
Why are you saying drug raid? Narcotics says it all.
A narcotic raid?
My cousin.
You said this though.
My cousin was murdered by narcotics unit.
But that's not what you said, Ron.
Okay, so let you finish.
That's not what you said.
All right. I said my cousin was murdered, and
you said don't use that. You said my cousin was unalive by police in a drug raid, and then I'm like trying to put. Well, you said tragic death of a family member that I believe I played a part in. I'm trying to come up with the part that you played in it without saying that you played the part in it.
I played the part in it because I was supplying him.
But we don't want that because to be said on what you call it.
But we're not gonna say that. But I'm telling you personally. Even though we have broke off, even though we broke off before he got murdered. I was on the run for attempted murder. I was doing my thing. He was doing his thing.
So the camera off for that.
Nah, that's everybody already know, right? The reason why he dead is the reason why we split. Cause I was on parole for 7 to 10 because they found the drugs in the basement. He want to put 8 balls in 14s and a pair of Jordans. Talk about they not gonna find it. Mm-hmm. So we was arguing about this, and he wouldn't stop doing it. So we got in a full blown argument, like in our parking lot at our gate, like loud. We separated that day, right? He went over here. I took over the spot, right? He went back to where he was hustling out his mom's crib and doing what he want. We ain't talked for months. I hit him with a 6 deuce. He gave my money. I got in some shit that night I was on the run, right? They raided all of my spots looking for me. And they went to my aunt's house. And he's trying to swallow an 8-ball with E&J. They grabbed his throat, right? He bit the hand. They took him to the driveway. And the rest is history. Right. So that'll give you a little better understanding of,
You just put it on camera, but I'm just trying to put what we gonna say.
I'm not putting it on camera. I am practicing.
Right. What I'm saying is, for this right here, when we do it, and the words that's written down right here that you want to memorize,
yes.
I just want those offline.
Okay. Sure. Hey, director. Got you.
My cousin was unalive by police in a narcotic raid.
Yes, we have to sound professional.
Drugs is used every day.
We have to sound professional. It's narcotic.
Narcotic raid. So when that happened, was you supposed to show up, or meet with them and stuff like that?
I was on the run.
Okay.
I was in New York on the run. This is how it happened. They didn't. All right, let me break it down.
I just want to
no. Let me tell you what happened. The gate that we had was getting hell of a money, right? So we had one building already, right? They raided that. So what I did was have a girl rent the next building. So we just went from one building to another building. But they knew we had it locked down because nobody could hustle over there. So everybody over there was on the team. You get what I mean? So when I shot the dude in the parking lot of the gate, when I shot him, they put the task force together. They raided every house in both buildings. So looking for me, right? They went to my aunt's house because they knew everybody that was on the team because his name was on the warrant when they raided the first house. So they knew we was together. You know what I'm saying? And then they went to my aunt's house and they killed my cousin. But truth be told, my baby mother called the narcotics on us. So they didn't have none of our information, right? I brought her down from New York, right? She was the one that put the quarter in the phone for them to raid the first time because we always used an alias and they didn't know who we were. She the one that told them our name and who we was. That's why I say I believe I played a part in that. Now that we're being honest and now that we're being upright, you know, I could have been more of a influencer of good character, but I couldn't be something that I wasn't. You know, that's where I was at that time. But I know she did it. You know what I mean? How I know she did it? Because when I went to go rent that gate, my youngest daughter, Deidre, was with me. And I told the dude, yeah, me and my wife is separated, you know what I mean? I gotta move and I gotta get out the house immediately. Gave her the money, gave me the keys. So I get to the house that night, you know what I mean? And she's bugging on me, yo, you leaving? You? And I didn't remember that until I started searching my memory deck to find out who I was gonna murder for snitching on my cousin. And then 2 and 2 made 4. But she the only one that knew about the landlord, the gate, who rented it, and what the name was rented at. Nobody else knew. And the only reason why she knew that is because my baby daughter was with her. And she told her the name, and the name was my best friend, Jiz. And he was, yeah. So, yeah, she did it. So that was my breaking point. You know what I mean? That was something that I couldn't charge to the game. That was something that it was devastating on my psyche. You know what I mean? And I couldn't forgive myself. You know, along with everything else I have done, you know what I mean? Everything just came flooding down like the Niagara Falls. You know what I'm saying? So I take that, I hold that, I'm responsible for that. You know what I mean? You know, and I remember the last conversation I really had with him. I went to go pick up my money. I gave him a 6 deuce on consignment. And he was like, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. You know what I mean? He was looking for my guidance. He was looking for me to help him in the right way. And all I could tell him to do was just cop a whip, bro. You know what I mean? Cop you a whip and relax. And he did that. And they killed my cousin. That was my dude. We slept in the bed together as kids. Because my mother and his mother's like best friends, my sisters. You know what I mean? And I think that was my breaking point. I don't think that was my breaking point. That was my point of no return. And how it happened is that I was already on parole for my trafficking case. So when they snatched me up in New York for the warrant for the attempted murder, they sent me back to Concord. So I never really had a chance to really grieve over him. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is when you're in a clink. Like, we ain't got time to be none of that. It's guerrilla style, it's focus, it's no the streets, and none of anything that happened on the streets that's on pause. So I never really grieved it over him. I never really processed it because I had my own shit going on. And then I was locked up. So now I was keep it moving. So when I maxed out and things started slowing down for me, that's when it really hit me. You know what I mean? So that's when it really hit me, like, wow. You know what I mean? And it hit me. I almost had an asthma attack when I had to go face his mother when I maxed out. You know what I mean? Like, that hit me. You know what I mean? It hit me. And I don't really think I really recovered from that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't shake it. That was the point where it changed me. You know, it changed my image, it changed my perception on how I perceived my behavior and the things that I was responsible for. And I didn't know what to do because I was institutionalized. I've been in this game from a very young age. You know what I mean? Really took my first, got on the block at 13. You know what I mean? And then in and out. The 17, it was no turning back, non-stop. So that was my breaking point. So now you got a little brief history. Now you know why that is not fair for you to ask the questions, and I'm not telling you the history. So I'm telling you the history. So any way you want to tweak it, when you're coming off to me to ask me, you could tweak it. You know what I mean? Because I think that topic right there, it really shows that, you know, the behavior, that you're not conscious of the behavior and the things you're doing, it can affect the people that you really love in a way that there's no change in it. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no change in it because you got your little cousins or your brothers or your sisters that look up to you, and you just trying to do your thing, and they trying to do it with you. So the mission is to get money, and we all need it, but you never look at the fine print of the consequence. You know, we just tunnel vision with what we perceive to be, this is what we have to do, but cannot live with the consequence of what's gonna happen. Because there's no way that you're gonna do wrong and you don't think wrong is coming back to you. That is so far from the truth. Because when you do dirt is gonna be at your front porch, and it's gonna cover the whole front porch. Are you strong enough to deal with it? You know what I mean? So now, as my director, you know what I mean? I'll let you know the story. You know what I'm saying? You know. And then his brother died 30 days later. Another one of my little niggas jumped in the water, never came back up. And this shorty that was working in the spot, 95 North, ran into the guardrail and brain dead. And that was all on that run. All of them young. 20, 18, 18. You know what I mean? So that was my breaking point, your brother. You know what I mean? Like, that was the breaking point. Yeah. And that's why I'm sitting here with you. Right? That's how I end up in this process. Because I didn't know what to do when it came to just doing the right thing. The only person that was really there for me was God. He built me up. and it shut a lot of doors and gave me a new way to think, a new way to live. But that's another topic because I wasn't even ready for that. Because I was addicted to that, to that culture, to our culture. So, yeah, just a little brief history. And I should have did that yesterday because that's not fair to you. Because I like your effort, you know what I mean? And you need to know the story. So now, with me telling you this story, and I'm going to continue telling you this truth, it's easier for you to dig into questions. You know what I mean? Because my mother's side of the family's not about that criminal shit. Alabama red dirt, Bible Belt, cook clean, take care of the kids, struggle, and wait for God's blessings. So for that to happen to the Stanley side of the family, that was tragic. That was like the first family member that we lost. And everybody, my grandfather was even alive. And my mother told me when they was at the Passover at my aunt's house, he said, I'm not going to be here again to watch one of my babies be buried. So when I sit back and think about that, how much trauma did I bring to my family? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much did I bring to them? So as time goes on, I learn to just deal with it, but that's something that I think is going to be a scar on my heart till they drop the casket, because we're loyal to each other. I don't betray my people don't betray me, never ever, never. You know what I mean? I can't tell you one of my friends or one of my cousins that we got money together that we betrayed each other. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of love. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. 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 That's what DK is about. DK is about the youth. It's about those who don't believe that there's an option because of the created character that we create and how the children follow it. And you was a part of that creation. You know what I mean? We set urban communities on fire with culture, style, and get money. Our era was different. You know what I mean? It was different. And it's never been the same. Now it has no structure. And it's just wild. But we was the money getters. But nobody told us about the consequences. We knew about jail. We knew about death. We was good with that. Or go back on the porch. But we didn't know about the psyche, the wear and tear on the psyche and the nervous system, and how long it lasts, and how long it drags on, and how much regret comes with it, and how your dreams are shattered, and you still haven't accomplished all the things that you thought you was going to accomplish by jumping off the porch. Yeah, we all gained some things. We all had a good run, but then they took it from us. So I did all of that just to lose 100 G's in 10 months, and my little nigga's dead. I was only home for 10 months. I got out, I was sitting on about 66 in the cut. You know what I mean? And 10 months later, bro, sitting in an intake in Providence, Rhode Island, zero bread. but man, regret left like trails of regret. You know what I mean? So we can move on to the questions. I just wanted to